Okay, folks, and we're honored to have another special guest join us this evening for this segment. It's the Flyin DJ, Mr. Ryan Ray. And Ryan's got a pretty unique story from way back in the beginning to where he is now. He's part of the team that puts on the show every week here, and we're going to put him on the spot a little bit because the interviewer is going to be interviewed. So you get to learn a little bit more about our Flyin DJ, Ryan Ray. Ryan, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. It's great that you're local and you're able to jump in.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think this is like second fiddle or anything like it, because there was none of that intent whatsoever. It was more about catching you off guard so that we can find out who the real person behind the microphone is, rather than just the Flyin DJ, Ryan Ray.
Yeah.
So did you buy any of that at all? Or
not at all.
Not one bit. Okay, we're going to move on. Moving right along. Anyway, Ryan, talk to us a little bit about your involvement in racing in general. You are probably one of the most avid dirt racing fans I've ever met. We'll get into when you and I first met. Go back to how long you've been a absolute mega fan of dirt racing.
Well, I think my parents brought me here in like 1986 when I was 10 years old. I was instantly a Kenny Tremont fan. We would follow him around the dirt circuit back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and kind of got out of it when he kind of got out of it. But yeah, it just was, I'm like a big nostalgic. All the old guys, all the Johnsons, the McCreadys, all those guys. I really like all of that. Not really so much into it in the most recent years, like a lot of these guys like Brett Hearn and all these guys retiring, but I'm still involved pretty good here. So.
Yeah. I would say you've acclimated pretty well.
Yeah.
So, well, fast forward, I came back from Florida in 2022.
Yep.
And I remember looking across the street and seeing an ungodly number of race panels hung up over against the wood line. And I mean like hundreds of race panels. And it reminded me of the ghetto back in the days of Syracuse. Oh, the ghetto. So many stories that should never, ever be told. I'm like, I got to go over and introduce myself to these people. So tell us a little bit about, quote unquote, Section 8.
So Section 8 was, I actually, grew up going to Syracuse and went to the ghetto plenty of times, a lot when I was younger, probably underage drinking up there and whatnot. And when I started my campsite over there, I kind of wanted the spinoff of the ghetto. So I was like, Section 8's kind of a cool name. And that's kind of how it started. And it kind of became like our ghetto, like our Woodstock. And we would have hundreds and hundreds of fans and drivers come over. Drivers wanted their panels, on display. So every week I would put them up and take them down. And it was a lot. I do it on Friday. It took me like 3 hours to put it up. And Sunday we would come out like looking like the Undertaker, after partying all weekend long. And we were putting it away because we didn't want to leave a mess behind,
Right.
But, and it was like 2021. It was like me, my parents, my sister, Mark, Gary, and we started just playing music and DJing. And it was like, it kind of took away from the business in here a little bit. I think they were a little mad at us, but we weren't even trying. We were fun. We were cool.
Yeah, those are days gone past. And I will say I've attended quite a few ghetto parties. I can also say that I have never ever shown up early Sunday morning to help you put it away.
I think the coolest thing too is we were by far the best party in dirt motorsports. And I would go to other events like, the 31st lap and people like Brett Hearn. And like, I wasn't even like announcing or racing at the time. And people knew me as the guy that ran Section 8. And I was like, wow, this is actually a thing.
Yeah, no, it was. It's a big thing. It was a big thing. And I started hanging out over there, and now, Mark, your sister, Stacy, one of my dear friends, one of our closest friends, we went through a struggle here because John Stanley and Dan Martin, the two best announcers in dirt,
the best
forever in my mind, not to take away anything from anyone else, we were trying to find someone that could replace where I was helping out, doing trackside interviews, driver interviews, a roaming microphone, to capture more of the scene that was going on. And we did try a couple people, and some people were okay, and some people were not really cut out for it. And I got to thinking, I said, Ryan's a pretty outgoing guy. He's absolutely a dedicated fan.
Yep.
And he certainly brings the race knowledge to the table.
Right.
So about a year and a half ago, I came to you and said, hey, would you be interested in being our trackside announcer? And the rest is kind of history. Then that morphed into us redoing the club. Heather redid the clubhouse.
Yep.
We have a DJ in here, and it's this fella right here. But you also jumped into racing. You also got yourself a slingshot and said, you know what? It's time for me to get behind the wheel and see what this is all about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, at 47 years old, my sister's boyfriend had a slingshot, and he's like, you want to give this a rip? And I'm like, sure. And of course, like everything I do, I put 100% into my hobby. And last year was my first full year. It was a little rough. You know, I flipped one time. But this year I had no DNFs. I got 3 wins. Finished 2 Accord in Lebanon Valley. I'll get to go to the banquet and get a couple trophies. And I finished my season on a 3-race win streak. So it's pretty
not
cool.
too bad.
Yeah.
It's coming around. You know, Owen we had on earlier in this segment, he got his 3 wins in the limited and then moved up to the next level. So that's yet to be seen whether or not. But you basically are here at Lebanon Valley Speedway over at your campsite from Thursday night till Sunday morning every weekend.
Correct. Yes. And, you know, my house and my race shop where AJ Albraida's car is 5 minutes from here. So it's pretty convenient. And I'll go to work, you know, on Friday from here. And then I'll go up, get the race trailer, go to Accord, come back here, kind of, you know, pop in here or whatever. We camp. And Saturday I go up. I help AJ load the car. I come down here. I set my DJ equipment up. Then I go do my social media stuff. And then I'm with John and Dan doing the announcing. So I got many layers of stuff that I do here at the track for sure.
Well, I'm very close with John Stanley and Dan Martin, and they absolutely cannot sing your praises enough about joining the team and expanding what we offer as a product.
Right.
You're doing an absolute fantastic job. So, you know, Saturdays you are racing the slingshot. Friday nights we hold shows, right? Chris and Tam, you're holding Friday night shows?
Generally, you know, because of sponsorship and stuff, I usually will skip Accord to race here for Mark. And then if they're not racing here, because it's only like 5 or 6 shows, I'll race Accord on Friday nights. So that's really it. Every now and then I'll go to Glen Ridge on a Sunday. There's a rain out here and there, but generally Accord and our kart track here.
And I can tell you folks, this guy doesn't quit. He does the end of the year tour out to Fulton. He takes the whole Section 8, the panels. As a matter of fact, I think for the 2nd year in a row, you won the best campsite at Oswego. Is that correct?
Well, they always use my campsite as the promo. And I didn't go last year because our son, you know, our son was being born, Cam. I did go this year, and of course I won the brown lot. And then I brought all the panels to Eastern States, and I made the video there too. So it was pretty cool.
And I just recently found out that at Eastern States, it was worth the trip because you got hit by some woman making an illegal U-turn, totaled his truck, and now he's the proud owner of a brand new GMC.
I am. Yeah, I picked it up one day.
That's funny how it works out. But no, I have to compliment you on all of the social media stuff you're doing. You're starting to do the TikToks now. You're starting to take a deeper dive into getting to know these race teams and drivers. And you and I have been collaborating about working on a series, you know, my racing life, and really digging into the history of the people and how they get involved in racing, and kind of sharing with our audience what it is that is so addicting and so much fun, and that once we get it into our blood, it never leaves.
It doesn't leave.
It never leaves.
Never leaves. I think the excitement of just, you know, on a Friday when I'm driving to Accord, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, are you going to get hurt, or is it going to be a bad financial night? Are you going to win? It could be anything. You know what I mean? You know, in the people you hang out with, like our race shop, you know, our race shop could be like, you know, Orange County Choppers. We have so much fun. There's a lot of arguing. There's a lot of ball busting. There's, you know, everything. It's a blast.
Yep. The times in the garage are still always, and again, that's where we create these lifelong friendships through racing, and it's indescribable. But I want to thank you for impromptly coming out.
Yeah.
Spending a couple minutes with us, getting to share some of your story with the people, and encourage people, again, come on out to Lebanon Valley, see Ryan in action. He's absolutely phenomenal. If you can't come out and see him live and in person, then you certainly will be seeing it on every aspect of social media possible.